A released WWE star says they were brainwashed from the toxic environment there. Plus, post-WrestleMania Roman Reigns plans have been revealed, and a major SmackDown talent re-signs with WWE. It's all in the wrestling news right now. We hear a lot of stories of when wrestlers come away from WWE, and some with nothing but love. Tom Hannafin, formerly Tom Phillips of the WWE, now with Impact. He's on Desert Island Graps tonight, talking very glowingly about his time in WWE and share some nice stories.
You get to talk about the Tom-spiracy as a fellow Tom.
We did have a little bit of a Tom-spiracy chat. Plus, also, he's a big No Mercy fan. We talk about his creator wrestlers, so real journalism there. But that's one case. The one we're talking about this morning, not so much. So Lana on Instagram, it was her birthday the other day. She thanked fans and friends for the birthday love. And in the post, whilst thanking WWE stars Natalya, TJ Wilson and Liv Morgan for their support, she wrote the following: "I can't believe how far life has come in a year and how brainwashed I was from the toxic environment that I had worked in for 8 years. I allowed it to define my identity and self-worth. Change can be hard, friends, but let me tell you, if you keep pushing forward no matter what, if you refuse to have one human's opinion define your destiny, if you refuse to be put in a box by a corporation or society, and you keep blinders on and walk by faith, your life will become more than your wildest dreams." Lana's been very busy making movies. Most recently, she did an action film for Paramount. She's just finished shooting that, and she's signed on to film 2 more as well. But some really strong comments there about her time in WWE.
I think, just to go back to what you were saying, it seems to be quite split down the middle. There's never anybody that leaves WWE and it's just kind of like, meh. It's always kind of, I had a really good time or I had a really bad time. But you hear a lot of people talk about WWE as a bubble. And, once you get inside the bubble, you're kind of looking at everybody going, you're all crazy. But after a small amount of time, you get caught up in the bubble. And then when it's your time to leave the bubble, you're like, what the hell? Yeah. And you're like on the outside of it looking and going, what? Like it was just some kind of massive whirlwind. And it feels very much like, WWE is, of course, the direction of one man, but it feels very much that it is just, as and when he sees fit, you kind of get doled out things to do. And
you kind of, from like, again, to come back to the chat I had with Tom Hannafin, and a few of the chats that he's had in other podcasts as well, like when you work for WWE, you just work for WWE, so you're on call sort of 24/7.
Yeah, and you got to stay up on top of the product, like commentary especially. I remember reading some of the leaked notes and stuff, and it's like, it's your responsibility to watch all of our products, and it's your responsibility to know what's happening every single week, all the nuances, and it's like, on top of your job, you've got to watch like 9 hours of wrestling every week.
It's exhausting, but and I can imagine that there was a lot of you probably get a lot of people leaving, like almost feeling like they've, like you say, coming out of a bubble and just like blinking into a new light. Best of luck to CJ Perry going forward with stuff. Really interesting comments from her on Instagram today. We've got some more WWE stuff to get to in a little bit. Let's talk about a guy that left the system within WWE recently. I'm talking about Jeff Hardy. He and Matt Hardy have got themselves a really cool booking for the summer, haven't they, Sam?
They have. You've got it listed here as an indie debut, which is disgusting.
That might be an error on my part.
It's all pro. AAA announced at a press conference yesterday the Hardy Boyz will be facing Dragon Lee and Dralistico at Triple Mania Tijuana on Saturday, June 18th. Now, this is the first time that Matt and Jeff will have been the Hardy Boyz together in AAA.
Matt's been there before.
But Matt's been there, but it'll be the first time they're teaming together. It's going to be on Fight TV live from the Caliente Stadium in Tijuana, Mexico, as I said, June 18th. So it should be an interesting one. I mean, Dralistico and Dragon Lee versus the Hardys, it's going to be pretty insane.
Fun match for them. They're going to have a lovely time. I like the idea now that the Hardy Boyz are both sort of on that AEW contract, which does allow them a little bit of leeway to go and do other things. Like, to see them popping up in other places again, ticking off some. There's not many boxes left for them to tick in terms of places they've worked and things they've done, but there's a couple.
Yeah, there's still a lot they can do.
Yeah, WWE returning to Saudi Arabia in September.
No surprise there.
Oh, that's a gear shift, isn't it?
Have we worked out yet whether the Saudis took the 2 years off the deal for COVID? Or they slap them on the back end? Because if they have, it's going to make it...
I would assume they're going to slap them on the back end.
8 more years, I think, now.
8 more years. 8 more years. I assume they're slapping them on the back end. The Observer reporting, the sources close to them say, these are the same sources, by the way, that said they're going to do Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia, and then they did. So these sources are now saying that in September they'll do TLC in Saudi Arabia. This will be the first time they've done TLC in Saudi Arabia, the same month that they're running the in Cardiff, Principality.
The Municipality Stadium.
Yeah. First time, so that's a heck of a schedule, that is. Don't know you can get a flight from Wales to Saudi Arabia.
Initially, when I saw TLC, I was a bit like, oh, really? But at the same time, TLC's kind of a redundant pay-per-view, isn't it? It's sort of, you've already got Extreme Rules. TLC's just kind of Extreme Rules 2. Or Extreme Rules is just kind of TLC 2. But not TLC 2 the match, obviously. No. But, it feels like one of those shows where maybe it won't be so bad if it's overseas. But, I don't know. I don't know anymore. You know where we all sit on the Saudi deal. It's
Trademark news moving swiftly along.
I can't believe this, by the way.
Can't believe it's not butter.
I don't believe it.
WWE has filed trademarks for Tribal Chief, EST, and Acknowledge Me. Okay. That bit we do believe.
Yeah, of course.
What's the bit you don't believe? It was Heel by Nature that broke this.
Yeah, so Heel by Nature. WWE have filed trademark for a new name. You couldn't guess it in a million years. But the second I say it, there's going to be a very specific image in your head, and that better be what the wrestler looks like, I swear to God. WWE have trademarked the name Elton Prince. Elton Prince. He better be wearing, or they better be wearing crushed velvet and giant sparkly glasses. They better be in purple. Oh my God.
I just want your extra time in your Kiss the Bride. Yo! Dun, dun. I could sing more Elton songs, but I know how obnoxious I can be, so I won't. But yeah, I'm excited for that. Elton Prince.
It's possibly the most WWE name this side of, like the Ruthless Aggression era, where it was like, hey, can we fit 7 more X's into your name? Like is it Jackson Riker, whose name is like Jaxson? Like Jack's son.
The son of Jax.
Yeah, like this is possibly the most WWE name I've ever heard for the modern day, anyway.
Roman Reigns is quite a WWE name.
Luther Reigns was as well.
Oh,
his daddy.
What a boy. WrestlingNews.co saying that ads they've seen for post-WrestleMania live events feature headline matches between Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. Now, this was supposed to be quite a prolonged run they had at the start of the year, but then Drew got hurt, so they took them away. There was a couple of 6-man tags that they did featuring Drew, but they're getting back on that post-WrestleMania, which would suggest that Roman Reigns, coming out of Mania, is going to square up with Drew McIntyre, which I think is quite fun.
Yeah, it means a nice little push further up again for Drew. Not that he really needed it, but I think that, squaring him off and allowing him to finish that business might be quite good. But where's it? What does this read into for, Roman and the main events? But card subject to change, card always subject to change. Oh my God, where's Brock? What's happening?
I kind of had the vibe, as much as I'm excited to see our boy Drew McIntyre. When he's winning, he's our boy. When he's losing, he's Scotland's Drew McIntyre. It's the Andy Murray effect.
That's how it works. God, it's awful, isn't it?
It's dreadful. It's dreadful. But as much as I'm happy to see him doing that, I kind of thought that we might move towards maybe Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley.
Right.
Because that's a fresh thing.
I'm not really that bothered about seeing that.
You're not bothered about Reigns and Lashley? Nah. I'm quite bothered. On the botherometer.
Maybe once or twice, it'd be nice, but as a feud,
no, fun.
Although, maybe.
Oh, he's coming around, the botherometer's ticking.
Kind of like the kombucha girl.
We'll stay in Roman Reigns' camp for the final story, as Paul Heyman has confirmed he is re-signed with WWE. He gave an interview with Richard Dye to the Sports Media podcast, saying it was public knowledge that my contract came up last year. I kept it very close to the vest because I'm not one of those people that A, want to negotiate in public, and B, I'm reading an awful lot lately about who signed for how long and how much. And I just never want that to be me. This much I will say. I re-signed with WWE last year. It was a long-term agreement, and they created a situation where I would have been a fool not to take them up on their offer. I am happy, I'm locked in, and we are mutually satisfied with each other's contributions to the coffer. It's like something you say at the end of making love, isn't it? We are mutually satisfied with each other's contributions, at least in my house. Heyman's deal allows him to work on non-WWE projects as well, and that's quite rare.
Yeah, but I mean, if Heyman's not going to be, it'll probably be like, as long as you're not out booking another company, you're grand.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
It's just sort of, I think it makes the most sense. Paul Heyman is now, obviously the most synonymous with ECW, but if you kind of think of Paul Heyman in this day and age, he's synonymous with WWE as a company and has been since the fall of ECW. So I kind of agree with them as well on the I don't want people knowing how much I signed for and how long. I get it, but at the same time, it feels like wrestling's also entering that phase where it's starting to be treated like real sports, where it's like, he signed on a 5-year deal for this much money. And so it's like, it kind of brings into question a lot, though, doesn't it? Because it's like, are they worth this amount of money? Are you going to get this amount of money's worth of matches? And I kind of get it.
More, yeah. And I like that Paul's sticking around. I feel like to have a mind like his, I don't know how much, like, obviously, working on creative, he doesn't do it as much, but having a mind like that in the vicinity, I think is important.
Sure.
I think it's
You're going to need somebody good around to manage Elton Prince.
Exactly.
Imagine they just repackage Brock. Just give him piano and everything.
More news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe, and I think it's gonna be a long, long time.